Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang, and you're listening to Geek Out. So tell me, what floats your boat? What's your cup of tea? What is it that you can totally geek out about? So today, joining me in the studio is Sharon Lin from our very own FM team.
Hey, you.
And right, today we'll be geeking out about Sharon's most beloved tennis player, Roger Federer.
Roger Federer.
Yes, Roger Federer, and perhaps the history of fashion.
Yeah, dress history.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. So I hope you've been enjoying your week. It is Thursday. And what better way to get kind of over the hump day is geek out.
Yeah, it's like almost a weekend.
Right?
Yay.
What tickles your fancy? Today we're talking about Roger Federer.
Yes.
So tell me, how can you geek out, or why do you geek out about Roger Federer?
You know, I can picture all of my close friends. They're going to be so happy to see me featuring on your show talking about Roger Federer, because all I talk about during school and also it is really about Roger Federer. I am a huge tennis fan since I think I started watching tennis since I was 7. And the funny thing is that I would probably call myself a professional tennis fan.
Nice.
But I personally don't really play tennis. I only learned it for around less than a year. Tennis is a really hard sport.
It looks
it's
like
a very
a difficult
advanced sport.
Right.
Like how to hold a racket properly alone. It's like you could practice it for months and months and still couldn't really get it just right.
I kind of feel like tennis is one of those sports where you can learn how to play it, but it will take you ages to learn how to play it well.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, Roger Federer, I still remember he recently just retired. And okay, probably to kick off, to kick off this conversation, he recently retired. And to kind of show my love and how much he inspires me, I took a day off the day after he announced his retirement because I needed it.
You needed to take a day.
Yeah, I remember when I saw the news. I think first it was on his official Instagram, and of course he wrote and did an audio like reading of this letter of announcing his retirement. It's a very beautifully written letter, by the way. Listeners, you can go check it out. And I was just sobbing, and I was lying on my bed staring at the ceiling. It was good. It was good to let your emotions
getting
out.
a good cry is actually really useful.
Yeah, it's
guys.
really healthy.
It's very healthy,
especially someone who's been sort of part of my childhood and all the way to adulthood. Since I was 7. When he started out in his career, he looked very different from how he is now. Like he used to have a ponytail.
How long has Roger been playing?
Wow. He retired in his 40s, and probably he started out as a junior player.
Okay.
So like I would guess a good amount, maybe 30 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that his appearance has changed quite a bit.
Yeah. So he used to be very feisty. I think like I would guess most young players. I mean also us just being humans.
When you're young,
teenager.
generally we're all pretty feisty.
Yeah. So he used to yell at the umpire a lot and sometimes smash his racket, which is super different from how like most people know him nowadays. He's like really, really classy, and he's not only a good ambassador for tennis, for the sport, but honestly for humanity. This was Trevor Noah. I believe what he said during a very recent interview with Roger Federer on the Daily Show.
I love Trevor Noah, by the way. We're just going to,
and they're both they both have South African roots.
They do.
Yeah. So Roger Federer is just to me not only a athlete, but really someone who really, really, truly inspires me so much. And also, this is putting him in a context of. Yeah, we're not worshiping him, putting him on a pedestal like he's all perfect. No, he's not. He's human. Everybody's human. Yeah. So, of course, like, it's going to be so devastating if there's ever, like, very weird news about him. But, hey, we're all humans. But so far, like, he's inspired so many people. And I'm like, touching my phone right now because my lock screen is...
I've seen it.
Yeah, the photo of Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal, another legend. Probably he's going to retire soon as well, but the time is not here yet. So they were at the the most recent Laver Cup, and they played doubles together. And if you're a long-term tennis fan, you know how historic this moment is to see Roger and Rafa not on the opposite side of the net, but on the same side.
On the same team.
It's like
team up.
Yes, it's like
very epic team up.
Chef's kiss. Yeah, I was so emotional. I believe the Laver Cup, thankfully we did have a broadcaster, I think multiple, and so the broadcasting was available to me in Taiwan, so I woke up around 4 a.m. That's
of course
where
you did.
the game, yeah, like I don't usually wake up around like 4 a.m., but I just got up very willingly and naturally, and all prepared, got my glass of water and ready to watch Laver Cup.
Yep, sat down and got ready to watch.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how, being in Taiwan, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of events that happen around the world that don't quite happen on Taiwan time.
I know.
So, but we're very willing to wake up or stay awake, whichever fits better, in order to, watch that. Recently, obviously, it's been the World Cup. And we've got people in the office, Itamar and Tomash. They will stay up
They're very
really,
dedicated.
really late, very dedicated in order to watch games.
Yeah.
And I perhaps am not a fan, not a huge fan of sports in general, but I will be up in order to stream D&D if it's a game with somebody.
Listeners, Michelle is. I think you're an amazing dungeon master. Like when we play Dungeons and Dragons, you are so good.
Oh, thank you.
The storytelling, of course, like you're a radio show host, but like you're so good, and I love it.
A little bit of background, guys. So Sharon was a D&D had never played. First timer. You had never played Dungeons and Dragons before.
Yeah.
What is that? A couple of weekends ago?
Yeah.
So I invited Sharon, and who else was there?
Emma.
Sharon, Emma, and Itamar were all first timers. Tomash came along to assist, being another rules lawyer.
Tomash is so good. Yeah.
He's also really great.
Yeah.
And y'all came over to my house, and we I hosted. It's a homebrew. What that means is it's not following a book that Wizards of the Coast released. It's just something that I made up by myself
which was so well made because it was almost Christmas time.
Exactly.
It's Christmas themed.
I totally Christmas themed it. They had to rescue Santa.
And there's a weird murder like with reindeers.
Well, I mean, I hopefully made it so that it was.
I wasn't half elf. I've never felt so badass.
Yes,
on a Sunday.
you were very badass on a Sunday. Absolutely. I mean, you know what they say about the first character you ever make?
What?
Is who you wish you were.
Oh, okay.
Is technically what they say about
warrior, half elf.
Is who you wish you could be, right?
And I have this like cool corset looking armor,
Oh,
which is probably a good tying to the second topic. Should we have time? But Roger Federer.
Right. Roger Federer. Okay, so yes, I will wake up in order to watch or play in certain streams. So I understand, like carving out times in your day or life in order to watch something truly epic. So yeah.
And the way he plays is like really, really elegant. And his backhand is like the iconic backhand. It's like I'm not a video gamer, but it's like one of those iconic moves. It's like, you call it like, I don't know, like the Bruce Lee or something. And that like when you do a one like single-handed backhand and do it like very elegantly, very well, powerful, push it all the way near the ending, like the line. You call it like, it's like a Roger Federer backhand. And I just love the way he plays. Yeah.
I mean, just like what were we talking about? We were talking about brand names that have become the noun. So tissue is known as Kleenex.
Yeah, something like that.
To make a copy is
so
like to Xerox, right?
Yeah.
So I guess, Roger Federer is backhand. I've actually, in preparation for this, I watched
how much
a
do
clip.
you know about Roger?
No, I totally just really quickly wikied him. And like watched the short tennis, just like a highlights clip, right, of his games. And he's I mean, I'm going to say being graceful is a requirement of the sport.
Not necessarily.
Not really.
And for a long-term tennis fan, you know whom, not necessarily, but it is, I feel like it is a good quality to have because unlike, say, volleyball and basketball, tennis is especially if you play singles, it's only you versus your opponent on the court.
Right.
So what fiber you have mentally matters so much.
So you're saying that somebody... Okay, I'm going to apply nerdism to this,
that's why we're
right?
here, Geek Out.
So the different stats that you can have in Dungeons & Dragons. So you can basically apply strength to tennis, and you're saying you could be a good player?
I would say...
Purely smashing the crap out of balls.
Oh, Yeah, maybe like a Andy Roddick type of serve. You have
Okay.
it really powerful,
Just
almost
power.
yeah, your opponent almost have no chance because usually since it's so fast and the angle is so like it's just very almost impossible for you to give a good enough return
Oh,
to
it's
give
just
enough
so
space.
vicious that
Yeah, so you just basically you can only do defense if someone like that powerful is serving.
That's cool.
But I feel like good tennis players, of course Roger Federer included, who has 20 Grand Slams,
Yeah.
which is like record breaking. Of course he's not the one holding
Can
the
you
most.
define what a Grand Slam is?
Okay, so the 4 Grand Slams in tennis include the Australian Open, the French Open, Wimbledon, and the U.S. Open.
Okay.
These 4. So honestly, like especially during my like when I was still a student, we all had more time when we were still like, students.
Right. Oh,
I
those
sort
days.
of like organized like okay, so people they organize a year according to say season, spring, summer, fall, winter. For me,
Right,
it's
right.
like it's time for Australian Open. So it's like, yeah, because like summer in Australia is
Yeah.
like opposite from Taiwan, like northern hemisphere. So it's like the weather is getting warm down under, so it's time for Australian
tennis.
Open.
Ah.
And it's like towards the end of the year, like summertime in Taiwan, like July. Oh, it's Wimbledon, which is my favorite because it's the
Wimbledon.
most historic
Right.
one. Yeah, so these are the 4 Grand Slams, and it's super hard to be the champion of any of these 4. Like, it's already hard for any, like, ATP, which is, like, for professional men's singles tennis. It's already hard to win, like, any
Well, generally,
generally championships. So to win these 4, and in total 20 times, 20
times.
it's an achievement.
Yes, 20 times. Now that you explained what a Grand Slam is, I can understand 20 times
Yeah, once every year. Yeah.
is like superhuman.
Yeah. And it's really hard. Like his mental strength it's just I love watching interviews of like basically people who inspire me because you get to know more about like the side that usually people either don't get to see much or it's really
Well, yeah, especially athletes because you know
how
what,
they carry themselves.
Right, what we see is just the athlete playing their sport.
Yeah.
But it is neat to actually like watch and listen to them speak on.
It's like taking a tour inside their brain and their heart to see what's going on when it's match point. You can hear a pin drop and what it's just you versus your opponent. And it was like one trait of tennis games is before every serve the court is almost silent. It's like a tradition, but also, it's a tradition, and it's also being respectful to the player. So it's very unlike, say, baseball, which is like great vibes.
Oh, there's a lot of what do they call it? Heckling.
Yeah.
In baseball, it's tradition then.
Yeah, so it's
in
like
order
very
to
different.
heckle, right?
Yeah, different type of tradition. So, yeah.
Oh,
many things I
much
like
more
about tennis.
respectful. I like that. I like that a
it's
lot.
a classy sport, like a pretty posh sport, like historically speaking.
They all have their own traditions, which are really interesting. Each culture has, each sport has its own culture.
Yeah.
That in itself is a lot that people can geek out about.
Yeah. I mean, like just how the players they get ready. Like Rafa Nadal has a very specific setup. I think we talked about it the other day when we were talking about superstitions and little routines you go into before you do something that's important.
Yeah.
And Rafa Nadal has that. Like his water bottles have to face a certain way.
Oh, dude,
and
we
also-
all have those little quirks.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
it's a rhythm.
stay tuned for Izzy Wells. She's going to be talking about superstitions
superstition,
on Uncovered, I believe.
Coming on.
Right, Friday the 13th, coincidentally. We didn't plan that. That's just the way it's going to be released.
Sublime.
Right? Weird. Coincidence. So, righto. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Sharon Lin geeking out about the history of fashion.
Yeah, dress history.
Welcome back to Geek Out. I know we just had a small, tech kerfuffle in the studio.
Yeah, because we're all humans. We're not some AI automatons.
Seriously. So what's your cup of tea? Tickles your fancy or floats your boat? Join us as we share passions from people in Taiwan and around the world. We're back with Sharon Lin from our very own FM team.
Hello.
And we just finished talking about her, I guess,
Roger Federer.
So her idol.
Which is very related to the next topic, apparently.
I mean, we were just walking down the stairs to the studio, and Sharon showed me her shirt. It's an H&M sweater, basically.
Yeah.
You bought an H&M sweater, and what did you do?
Yeah, I bought this sweater many years ago, but I want to make things unique as I always love. I love fashion.
Oh yeah.
So I sold a Roger Federer logo, the RF logo, with like secondhand fabrics, and it's like floral fabric. So I
it's really
love how
great.
eclectic. Like usually it's like something sort of more feminine, traditionally speaking. So it's like mixing with sports. So I have this on me right now.
Yeah, she hand sewed a logo on. You mean if you were just looking at this sweatshirt, you would think that it was just sold this way.
Yeah. Oh
And-
no! Thank you. Wow. I feel good. Thank you.
So fashion.
Yeah.
So tell us, history of fashion. Well, there's a lot of history of fashion.
Yeah.
I am mostly, I guess, more familiar with Western history of fashion.
Same, actually. Same.
Right, and mostly because following, I guess, more modern designers, then you kind of catch wind of how they're bringing back older trends and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's also the type of fashion that you follow.
Yeah, because I feel like, the other day we were talking about like how streetwear got their look. It's sometimes they get inspired from like couture and fashion shows, and this is just, I think, how how quote unquote fashion works. Yeah, and also like I love the way that you're wearing a button down shirt, but I love that how you button all the way to the top, which is also like like for me like a nod to history, because it was how people back then they used to wear their button down.
Right, that's why the buttons go all the way up to the top.
Yeah, so I usually call this feel like dress. Yeah, I usually call it just dress history, and it has. I feel like after so many years of trying and figuring out, I finally found my fashion style, which is anything that tells a good story, and usually it's like about a nod to history.
Yeah, you guys need to actually go look at pictures or videos of us. They do exist. We're on the host page of the website.
Yeah.
But I think listening to us and then looking at like pictures or images.
Yeah.
I think our voices do actually match what we look like.
Really?
I think so anyway.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so. I love that. Yeah, I agree.
So right, or you could play the game of which host is which. Which name goes to which host.
Oh,
That'd be fun.
That'd be so fun. Oh yeah.
So right, continue. You're saying you're.
So I just love like clothing that is still contemporary, but they have elements or little details that pays like homage or nod to history. Like I love like high-waisted pants, and also I can belt it or wear it with suspenders, and also like corsetry. I feel corsetry. Okay, for later I will talk more, but like I feel like for me, since I'm from East Asia, for me, I'm more into Western dress history. So think about like Victorian, Edwardian, turn of the century look. That's a silhouette that I like, and also corsets and stays. I feel like because I'm a huge sucker for period dramas. I love period dramas.
Okay.
And I feel like because nowadays, period dramas, they have always been popular. I know I'm biased because I watched so much of them growing up and also now, but Bridgerton, like being sort of
it's really popular right now.
Phenomenon. So when I mentioned to people that I either just met me for once, I would say, oh, I love period dramas, and they would say, oh, so like Bridgerton. And it's like, wow, okay, hold up. Bridgerton is okay. It's basically like a very contemporary, like dramatic
twist,
story.
yes.
Yeah, but the people are wearing clothes that are trying to pay tribute to the Regency era. But those dresses that you see in the shows, they're not how it was supposed to be historically. But also, I follow so many dress history content creators on YouTube.
Oh, yes.
Because actually, the term historic accuracy is a myth, because what we could piece together is from what's still surviving throughout, like, since the beginning of history. So we don't have the full picture of anything.
Yes, of
but
course.
we could do, like, extended research and try to figure out how things were back then. So, for example, coming back to corsetry. Okay, for any period drama lovers, and also if you're a fellow lover of dress history, corsets on bare skin is a sin. You never
can't do that.
No, you have to wear a shift or chemise on your skin first, and then put on a corset or a pair of stays. You never like those like Tudor dramas, like they always make the usually female character
right,
like
have the corset directly on the skin,
yeah, like
and
it shows like their boobs and
that would hurt.
Yeah, it's not how you're supposed to wear corsets. So also it's just very it's sometimes frustrating to see like Hollywood actresses they're complaining about their corsets. Yeah, maybe it's because the corset maker who's living in our time, it like to make a good corset, it takes so much skill and also measurements, and again, it's wear with chemises. It's not directly on your bare skin, people.
Well, how's about this? Ready? So, so a lot of people complain that the internet is just filled with cat memes at this moment, but
which is great, yeah.
But there are content creators. I also follow a couple myself from TikTok or the Instagram Reels, where they actually will dress, like they'll go through the video of dressing in a particular period, right? A style from a particular period, and it's quite involved.
I love those.
The ones that include stuff like corsetry, there are so
those
many
on a daily
layers.
basis. I'm not joking.
Yes,
I love
but
those.
it's impressive. They, I assume, get it more historically accurate.
Oh yeah. Usually you can tell, even just as a hobbyist. Like I don't know that much, even though my friends say, "Oh, you really know so much," and I learn so much from you every time we chat. But I feel very flattered. But I'm just also a hobbyist. But even just the little details, you could tell that his good research is involved. And even from like how the eyelet holes were sewn, and also whether it's spiral lacing or cross lacing, you can tell which era it was most likely like implying.
I'm sure those were there were fashions with those too.
Yeah, and also I think I really realized my deep passion in dress history, I think, during the pandemic, because I feel like it's a time that we really look further, deeper into ourselves, and I just always loved some things like this, but I finally felt, okay, it's dress history, the field that I'm really, really into. And with this, like passion, now when I look at movies, especially period pieces, I have almost like a new pair of lens to look at things and see how the characters were dressed, and see if like this like butler from a certain family is dressed differently from their neighbors from across the street, like in The Gilded Age, for example. A great show on HBO, by the way. They're giving you hints of who they are or what they secretly desire to be. So I just love those elements of storytelling.
Write us and tell us, what are you a big fan of?
This is so fun.
What tickles your fancy?
I secretly dream of coming back again.
We'll definitely love to have you.
Oh, thank you.
And thanks, listeners, for tuning into Radio Taiwan International. I'm Michelle Chang, and we'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Geek Out.